Under promise, over deliver. We're actually just about ready to go. So, all right. It's the two of us. Hey, Cena.
It's just
Sinbu,
the
the
two of us.
creator of Imposter Kings,
Oh
is
my
to my
goodness.
left here on this fine Zoom in his Imposter Kings fortress somewhere in the anonymous kingdom of Nerseti. He's got what appears to be one of those, a salmon colored version of one of those things you see at laundromats to get
Hmm.
guitar lessons with the little cuts on the bottom so you can take
Yeah,
away the tab with someone's phone number.
that's exactly what that is. Yeah, I was just hoping that they're just coupons for the Imposter Kings in case people want versions of the game. So
You heard it here first. So, for all those who are joining in, I know this was scheduled at last notice, but this is the finals for the Season 1 League Tournament for the Imposter Kings. And we've got two incredible players here, Goose and Vlow, who have fought through endless matches of toil and trouble here in the Kingdom of Nerseti, all for the right to grab that scepter of Imposter Kings League champion. Cena, are you excited for today's match?
yeah, I mean we've got two really up and coming players. Both of them have got the same record of 5-2 in the ladder. You know it's going to be a good one. Two of the best players, if you will. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, both of them are newer players. They weren't in the first season of the game back when the game was in Kickstarter. They both just kind of joined the Discord and was part of the community. They already fought each other in the ladder, which is, by the way, we have a ladder every week. It's going to go ahead and start for the second split here. And whoever beats that second split ladder is going to be fighting whoever wins here today for a spot in a very prestigious season two tournament for the Imposter Kings that we both casted actually the first season of. But yeah, just to say, you were actually part of the five-way tiebreaker, Dan, right? There were five people at the top of the ladder, all with the record 5-2. Yeah, how was your experience?
Well, my experience was wonderful. It was so much fun getting a chance not only to play Imposter Kings every week, it is, by the way, and I'm not just saying that because you're on the Zoom here with me,
Mm,
seeing a really terrific game,
there it is.
but also a terrific community. There's really a wonderful community that spawned around this, and just getting the chance to meet everyone week by week has really been wonderful, a great part of that. Right, as you mentioned, Cena, there were five people in the finals, all with a 5-2 record after 7 weeks. Velo for me was one of those two, one of my two losses. He humbled me in the second week, and I also got humbled very quickly in the finals to the person that Goose beat in order to make the finals here, would happen to be his brother.
Yep.
And I got washed. I got 7 zipped on that one. So these are two very, very, very good players that we're going to see here today as part of the finals. Cena, do you want to take us through the finals trajectory? What got us here?
Yeah, for sure. And I was just gonna say, I mean, just because it's 7-0 doesn't mean that it wasn't hard fought. This game, sometimes you lose a couple close ones, but you still don't get any points on the board. But that doesn't mean that it was just a wash. I think you fought valiantly. You lost to Yeti, which is Goose's brother, and then Goose and Yeti had that biblical battle once again. Goose, ever since losing one time, I believe, to Yeti on a tournament, has beaten Yeti every time. Yeti's gonna love the fact that I say that on stream. And yeah, and so Goose basically only lost to two players to get here. One was the kid. The other one was, gosh, a really well liked player in the community. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. And then Vlow lost to Goose and Yeti, the brothers themselves. And Goose also actually played against Vlow and won 7-3. So this is actually a repeat match between Goose and Vlow. So yeah. Anyhow, we are pretty close here. Oh yeah, and I guess I should mention that on the other side, Vlow beat Popret to get here. Popret, who's watching the stream right now, he was the winner of the pre-league tournament. A really tough challenger to beat, but Vlow was able to overcome him in order to get us here to the finals.
So there you have it. That's what got us here. And now that we are here, we're going to see here in probably about an hour's time who will hold the scepter. It's a metaphorical scepter. I don't think there's a real scepter, right, Cena?
Not yet.
Not yet. Promises for the future. But we'll see here in an hour who's going to hold the scepter for Imposter Kings League champion. So let's go
Gotcha.
ahead and step on into Imposter King Stadium, where the action will happen. And here we go. So we've got Goose who's in. We need to get Vlow in here as well, and we will be able to get underway. All right. Let's make sure we get the players in place. I see Vlow now there as well. We'll see a very pivotal decision, which side of the table they choose to sit on. And then action will begin. One will be white and one will be green, which of course has no significance, but
there is the platypus theory, which is Platypus, one of the generous community members who actually made this script. We all have a theory that he actually makes it so green always wins more. So shout outs to Platypus. Thank you for scripting it so that way green always wins. So Vlow decided to take the green side. Goose, being the top seed, got to choose which side he wanted. He chose the white side. We're going to go ahead and use a timer for the tournament. So go ahead and click that button, Dan, if you don't mind.
Okay, here we go. And so it's going to be a timer. We're, of course, going to play the two-player edition of the game. And shall we begin?
Yeah, let's do it. We shall.
All right, the shuffle happens, and the players get their hands. And let's take a look to see what got deposited with Goose and Vlow, starting with Vlow's hand.
Good luck. Good, kind, good luck. Have fun starting.
So Vlow's hand, he's got Soldier, Fool, Queen, Judge, Mystic, Inquisitor, Oathbound, Sentry to start this one off. And notably not the True King. So it'll be Goose who decides who goes first in this first hand.
Yep. Right you are.
And over on the other side of the table, if we take a look at Goose's hand, swinging on by, it's going to be, zooming in, as he sorts them, Inquisitor, Zealot, Warlord, King's Hand, Elder, Assassin, Soldier, and the second Elder. Goose will be the True King. And now to take a quick look at the burn cards here. The burn cards at the side of the table, it's the Princess. So one of the power cards out. And the face down burn card is an Oathbound. Cena, want to take us through the status of the hand a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's kind of clear based on that, as you'd like to call it, the dumbbell hand. Vlow definitely has way more on the fringes here. He's got the 6-1 combo, so that's the Oathbound into the Fool. The Oathbound can be played on any card higher than itself. And if it happens to play on a higher card, you have to play a different card, and you can also play the infamous Fool, which is typically hard to play because it's a 1, but since you're using the Oathbound, it lets you pick up any card you want. So that's a really powerful combo he's got in his hand. The thing that's really funny, actually, is that Goose is a huge fan of the Princess, and this happened between him and his brother on the first game, where the Princess is the face-up card, so that means that's in neither player's hand, which is really funny, I think. So we'll just have to see what they decide to do here.
Yeah, it's going to be curious with Goose's hand. So Goose does have the Assassin, doesn't have much on the top end. With the Princess out of commission, you might look and say, I can survive long enough to bring the Assassin to bear, especially knowing that Vlow does not have the King's Hand as a countermeasure to potentially play that way. And of course, the burn card for...
You can start the timer, Dan, for
yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to mention.
That's right. So it's the left button?
Yeah, on the time itself.
Okay, there we go. So we're gonna
click
on the clock itself. There you go.
There you go.
Sorry. So the Elder, no surprise for Goose to burn that. When you have face-up Princess and you have both Elders, one of those Elders is not going to be useful. So no surprise on that burn. The Judge goes out for Vlow. Vlow has successored the Queen. Goose has successored the Zealot.
He's going to call the Queen here. Oof. He hid the Queen, but he couldn't hide the Mystic. And so he is going to call out the 4, lets you call out your opponent's cards and force them to play it in 2-player. And then immediately flips the King, which goes ahead and disgraces and makes that card useless on the throne.
So a lot just in that first play, because by doing that, first off, you get the Mystic out before it can be used, because there are no disgraced cards in court, so it diffuses the value of that card. And then you flip on it, which gets his Zealot out, and also means that a Fool play is not especially valuable because the only thing to pick up right now is that Inquisitor.
Would you do the fool right now? I think I still would.
It gets you card advantage, and it gives you 2 Inquisitors to try to fish that assassin out, which you've got to suspect is in Goose's hand right now. So I
You only
might.
need one because it's either in his hand or not. Like because now since he's already flipped his king, it's either there or it's not. Maybe I mean this is kind of maybe a gambit or a bait because he's trying to get him to use his fool, but so he loses.
So instead, he goes with the soldier.
Okay. So now that soldier, since he guessed correctly, is a 7, and has the ability to disgrace cards. He likely won't want to because the fool is a card that can pick up stuff, and the sentry is a card that can pick up stuff, and he has both of those in his hand. But the thing that's great about this is that now he saved his 6-1 combo, which is good. He might be afraid to try to Inquisit immediately the assassin because of the king's hand. But there's 2 tacks. I mean, it could have been like a bait to get him to play his fool early. Or
Well, it's interesting. He goes with the warlord, I think, to press the sentry out of Vlow's hand to put real pressure on.
right. Now, Vlow has it out against the assassin right now, so that's nice. Like he has the Inquisitor as long as it doesn't get King's handed. He can pick up another Inquisitor. The King's hand has the ability to cancel a card's ability essentially. And then he can, if you use the Oathbound into Inquisitor, that's a guaranteed assassin draw at the cost of 2 cards because cards that you play using the Oathbound are protected from the King's hand.
So I'm sure he's mulling that right now about whether to get the guaranteed. But no, instead he's going to play the sentry and not invoke it.
Yep. So casual 8, meaning he's not using the ability. If he uses the ability, it would go down to a value of 1. This case, he's just playing it as a straight 8, kind of saying right back at you. Now, Goose has 2 options here. He can play his King's Hand, which he probably wants to save, his little counter spell card, or he could play his Zealot, which is, I think, what he's going to do here. Super frustrating because he's playing a 3 on an 8, but the Zealot lets you play on any card if your king is flipped. So now he is going to play the risky play here. He's going to King's Hand it. Wow, okay, so here we go. This is what I was talking about. There's a little bit of a threat here, and now this is really bad because his combo relies on the fact of having a high card to be able to play that Oathbound.
Yeah,
now that he doesn't have that.
But with the 6, Goose is cooked.
Goose.
Yeah, he has nothing to counteract it.
Oh my goodness. If he could play anything on that card, he would have been able to win that. But now it's turned into a 3-point hand for Vlow. That was tense. It was either going to be 3 points for Vlow or 2 points for Goose.
And it all depended on what that face down burn was. If Goose had the other Oathbound instead of what he had in his hand, he would have had the 3-point win. But instead, Vlow made the risky play and got rewarded richly for it.
Yep. Any other comments, Dan? I think we'll wait for you to start the next hand whenever you're ready. But you'll be the official starter. I think that was a really tight play by Goose. I think he just needed a second to think about his King's Hand there. Also, I'm really proud of Goose for playing this hand because I think normally that would have been a mulligan hand. Most players would take a mulligan, but it's actually quite smart to only play a mulligan hand if you don't think you're going to get 2 points or lost by 2 points. You just happened to misplay at the end there. I'm not even sure. I haven't checked to see what other cards he could have played. I would have probably just let him get rid of the assassin and continued playing there. But he would have had to deal with a queen and some other baddies pretty soon too. His game strategy obviously was to just win off of the assassin there.
Yeah, that's right. All in on the assassin, and he used the King's Hand to pull the Inquisitor out, and or I should say to counteract the Inquisitor. Ultimately, it was worthwhile. Like Goose was basically a blind draw away from a 3-point win there, and just got a little unlucky that he ran out of the big cards when he needed. And the result is first blood goes to Vlow in a big way. 3 points to lead this off. It's 3-zip as we go into the second hand. So
all right,
we're going to go ahead and enter that in. Vlow, both successor cards in the opponent's hand. His king was not flipped, and that will mean 3 points as we go in. That'll also mean Goose will be the true king for this next hand.
Oh my goodness, what a similar looking hand.
Princess gone again.
That's pretty funny for Goose.
But now
Poor
looking at the,
Goose.
I know he loves the princess,
His
and it's
favorite card is just face up twice. You know what? What are the chances of that? I can tell you exactly what it is. It's very low.
it's one in 17 squared, I
18.
believe. 18. One in 18 squared, which is a big number.
Yeah.
So Sentry is the face down burn. So a lot of the top end gone already to start the hand. They'll both think their hands are weaker than they actually are because of that face down burn. Looking at Vlow's hand first and zooming in, we've got Soldier, Inquisitor, Elder, Queen, Elder, Oathbound, Soldier, Inquisitor. Cena, thoughts on this?
Well, especially since he's giving up going first, I think he's definitely thinking, well, Velo's got to have a pretty low hand here. He's probably thinking he's got the Queen Sentry, but that's only the top end cards he has. Not great for Velo here.
Yeah, a lot stuck in the middle. Flipping around now to Goose's hand. We'll see a successor in a second. Oathbound, Judge, Warlord, Mystic, King's Hand, Fool. He's already successored Zealot.
Yep, and he actually put down his Disgrace too. So if we can,
The Assassin.
oh, he got rid of the Assassin. So if we can start the timer, I think for Velo.
All right, we're starting already. Let's go ahead
Oh,
and
yeah.
start the clock.
It should be for Velo.
Oh, shoot. There we go. Okay.
Just click it. And here we go. The game is underfoot. This is a quick start for both sides. They both have a strategy in mind, I think. Velo's got the double Inquisitor, which I usually don't want to give to the opponent, but now that he's thrown away the Assassin, I'm kind of seeing what his strategy is. He's hoping that Velo has to be threatened by the Assassin when it's not actually a threat. So we'll see what Velo decides to go with first.
That's right. It's an interesting play by Goose. He's basically saying, I've got enough top end. I don't need the Assassin.
There we go. And it already pays off dividends. So now Velo's like, okay, he doesn't have the Assassin in his hand. Either it is in his successor, he threw it away, or he put it to the side. So it's one of the face down burn cards, so neither player knows. So now Velo is still gonna feel the threat of the Assassin even after Goose flips his king, and that's a really smart psychological play by Goose here.
All right, there's the Judge.
If he guesses correctly here, he gets to choose what his next card is. So he's got the info, and he's not going to choose to put anything into his antechamber, which would make it so he can play it no matter what card Velo plays.
Yeah, not committing.
He's I mean, what is he going to commit with? He's got only top end cards, so I think he's okay with that.
That's right, and he's wasting. So right, if I'm Velo here, I'm in trouble because I don't have much top end. I don't have that much that can even play on the Judge right now.
Oh, he does have a Soldier, and that's a really good play against the Judge if they don't put something in their antechamber, even if they did actually, because what's nice about that is that's a 5-on-5. You get that card out of your hand, and you ratchet. If you guess correctly what's in their hand, you ratchet up the pressure.
Let's see.
And by pressure, I say that in quotes because Goose has literally lots of high value cards, so the pressure is not going to be insurmountable for him.
It's hard to see right now for Velo what his path to victory is. All right, Soldier comes out, guesses right, and knowing the Fool might be out there, chooses to flip everything.
That's an interesting disgrace because now he's inviting usage of the Mystic. Potentially he realizes, hey, he probably doesn't want to actually use the Mystic for anything. There's not really anything to use the Mystic against.
Well, threes would be the thing.
But that would also screw him over potentially. And because he succeeded the Zealot there.
That's a good point. Actually, you're exactly right. Threes would make no sense there because the other Elder in Velo's hand is useless, knowing that he has the one royalty card that is in play. So
now it's just a casual 7, and this is where Goose is just going to squeeze him. Now, Velo does have a free flip whenever he feels like it. He knows that Goose doesn't have the Assassin in his hand. He chooses to flip on that. And now he can play the Fool if he wants to try to continue to go for a 3-point hand, which he opts to do.
That's right. It's not that he wants the Soldier there. It's that it gives him card advantage. Now he's got an extra card in his hand because he didn't use one that turn.
Now here you go. Velo can empty his hand because he has a Hive card and he also has the Oathbound. So this is actually... Velo can minimize his loss here, is what I'll say.
He probably does have a path to run his hand to 0.
Yep.
The hard card to get rid of is going to be that other Elder.
Yeah, and he can always Oathbound into the Elder as his last play if he needs to, but we'll see what he's thinking here. I mean, this is
I
a tough position to be in because at this point, I think he's evaluating loss,
yeah, I
and
think
he's just gonna
he's
toss it now.
yeah, because he says this is my only chance to get that Elder out without needing to use the Oathbound to do it. He still needs the Oathbound to get the Inquisitor out.
Now, I would have probably wanted to Inquisit into that King's Hand to get that big one out immediately. That would have been my play, but of course, I'm a commentator who actually can see both hands, obviously, so it's a little bit easier for me to make that call.
That's right. Remember, both players don't know the other player doesn't have the Sentry. So they both are assuming the other player's got an extra 8 in their hand potentially, and that really changes the dynamic here.
He does a guaranteed call. So he pulls out the soldier. He asks, "Do you have the queen?" He knows for a fact that he already has the queen from the judge, but he's doing the guaranteed bet here so he can make his soldier a 7 here. Now that's putting a hard squeeze on Vlow here. He plays his princess, or sorry, yeah, he plays his queen, and then Goose either has to flip or use his Oathbound. Um, this is not a terrible position for Vlow. He can force Goose to flip potentially here. He just it depends on how he plays his hand here.
That's right. I think Vlow is now. Here's the thing: that queen is very dangerous for Goose. Goose only has one countermeasure for that queen if he gets rid of his Oathbound, which is a king
Yeah.
flip, which will cost him points in the victory. And if he, say, uses the Oathbound early, you could see a scenario where things go wrong, where that queen could actually win the game for Vlow still.
Now it just matters what Vlow's mentality is here. If he already knows that he's lost, the Oathbound is the right play. I would say. I would use Oathbound into Inquisitor, pull out potentially his highest card, which would be the King's Hand here. Hopefully he wouldn't guess the Sentry, which is the face down card. But I think if he does that, then he can play his princess and it'll force Goose to flip. And then at that point, yeah, I think that's exactly what he's going to do. We'll see here. He's using his first extended play here. He's not using the Inquisitor.
Oh, so he's using it to get the soldier out to
And
force
he
the 7.
guessed correctly, which I don't remember what he called out there, but or I couldn't hear it. But he guessed correctly, so now it's a 7, and he continued to disgrace the cards, thinking again that he has the Sentry.
This is dicey because he's still now the hard card to get out is going to be that Inquisitor, and I don't see any way in which he can get rid of it.
Yeah, I think Goose has this if he plays it correctly. If he plays it casually, which he does. So now this is it. Now Velo has to play the princess, or yeah, the queen. I keep mixing them up. The queen, and then Goose's right play should be Oathbound into King's Hand. But Goose doesn't know that he might have the Sentry in his hand. He might guess it, but he's gonna try to go for it because I think he's thirsty for getting a 3-point here because of the last game.
That's right. So there we go. That's exactly what he does. Oathbound into King's Hand, and Vlow is over. And that is a 3-point hand for Goose, answering like with like to even the match at 3. Cena,
Wow.
take us through what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think, tough for Velo. I think he had the right play. Goose was trying to put down the pressure. I think, again, we have perfect information, but if Velo had done the Inquisitor there, he would have been able to force the flip, which would have been a little bit stronger for him. And now he's showing that he bluffed out the Assassin there. Kind of an interesting play. Velo had a lot to think about. He had to think about the Assassin. He had to think about surviving. Yeah, and there you go. And Goose is now saying, "I wonder why you didn't use that for this." And that's it's a tough.
Well, that was an intense hand, and again, Goose really moved in just the right way to take I think a minor advantage at the start and to pin it down for 3 points when it easily could have been a 1-point win with the wrong play there.
Exactly. Yeah, it was well played by Goose. Well played by Vlow to survive that long, in my opinion. But that's a 3-point hand over to Goose.
All right, 3 points in. We'll make sure all is set up, and the new game begins.
Awesome.
All right, going to Vlow first, who will not have the choice on. No, Vlow should be the true king. So Vlow will make the choice of who goes first. Their hand.
Uh-oh, it's in his hand now.
Oh.
The king. All right, so
Oathbound,
Vlow has
Assassin, Soldier, Queen, Oathbound, Elder, and Fool.
Oh my goodness, he's got the Oathbound Fool combo, but he's also got a spare Oathbound. none of the higher value cards, but he's got some pretty powerful stuff there.
He's got a lot of the specialty cards and the ways to use them. He doesn't have much top end. Meanwhile, over on the other
Oh my
side,
goodness.
it's Inquisitor, Soldier, Warlord, Mystic, King's Hand, Judge, Sentry, Princess. A lot of beef in this one, Cena.
Yeah, this is a tough one to beat. So 2 8s, 2 7s, and a 9. He gets his favorite card finally after being imprisoned for 2 rounds. The princess is broken free and joined her favorite player. So
All right, and the face-up burn card's the Inquisitor, so only one floating around. Pivotally, it's in the hand of the player Goose, who does not have the Assassin. And here we go.
let's take a look at the face down card.
All right, the face-down burn card is the Zealot.
Sorry,
So-
my math is not as good as it used to be. I would have been able to figure that out on my own.
So that's interesting. So, Zealot is a modest card, not going to greatly undermine a player's hand knowledge. If you're Goose, you think, I'm just going to bludgeon with big numbers, right?
Yep.
And if you're Vlow, you're thinking, can I survive long enough to force them to flip? Of course, you also have the King's Hand and the Mystic to contend with, and the other Inquisitor to contend with potentially.
Right.
I wouldn't feel
So-
great about this.
Yep. So he chooses to have Goose go first. If you don't mind tilting his king, he'll probably do it.
And all right, so face down burn, of course, no surprises. Vlow chucks the other Elder, no need for it, knowing that he has one of the royalty in his hand. And whoa, Goose threw a Warlord away. That's when
Well,
you know you've
because
got a
he's
big
going-
hand.
He's going first, and he's got all sorts of numbers. So I think he's gonna play aggressively here. And I think now we toss it over to Vlow for that, and then yep. And then
So
go ahead and
Soldier is the successor for Goose, the assassin for Vlow. Vlow knows that that's his path to victory if he has any.
So he comes out with the quiz. So this is one of my favorite plays. You play the judge to tease out whether they have the assassin. If they do, you get to immediately put your Inquisitor down, locked in for next play, and then you can get the assassin out. If they don't, then you know that they either succeeded it or threw it away, so you can play that assassin later.
All right, in that case, it sounded like they whiffed.
Yep, they did, because he asked for the assassin, and
Alright.
we have map hacks on. So
That's right. So it looks like, I mean, Cena, regardless of what Vlow plays, do you just king flip if you're Goose?
oh, you mean as Vlow?
Yeah. Well, if you're Goose, right, you know he doesn't have the Inquisitor in his hand. A king flip will neutralize it immediately,
The assassin.
but it also forgoes the opportunity of a 3-point hand. All right, he
Yeah,
takes
so
the
he did it.
conservative play.
So now by flipping that, the assassin's useless because he's already gotten his. He's sacrificed a point in winning because if you have your king face up, you get an extra point. But he is guaranteeing that he won't be assassinated this game because he's already flipped his king, and now Vlow has a useless assassin as a successor. Now Vlow has a choice here. He can just play the fool straight up and get a free card, which is the judge in this case, or he can keep his 6/1 combo. He opts to drop one of his 6s here. So that's just a casual 6 because it's played on a card that's equal or lower value, meaning that it's just a 6. His ability only triggers if it's higher than 6, and it disgraces that card, and then you can play any card you want from your hand.
That's right. If you're Vlow right now, you've got to think, if I'm going to salvage something from this, now with the assassin pretty much neutralized, it's through incredible use of the fool. You know, the power cards you've got left, you've got the queen and the fool, which unfortunately do not go well together because the queen, of course, eliminates all the targets for the fool. So you've got to be thinking, is there a way I can force something big out that I can then use a 6/1 combo to pick up?
Yep. I wonder what he's gonna kill here. Okay, so he's killing the assassin. Oh, sorry, not killing the assassin. Killing the fools. So the fools are now useless. He's basically exchanging. He has so much hand power. He's literally throwing away a 7 to say, "Hey, please don't use your fool." So that'll make a fool after it's being played. It does not have its ability, but it has a value of 3 after being played. So kind of gave it a boost. Now it's a 3.
Yeah, and
But it
yeah,
doesn't really matter because
Yeah.
all of Goose's hands are 3 or higher. So
That's right. If you're real out now, you think I have no weapons left. I have the queen. I have a queen.
And it'd be a
Uh,
shame if someone pulled out that queen right now, which I think.
is coming. Yep.
Oh, he pulled the ops the Oathbound. He really wants to make sure. So these plays are kind of neutering Vilau's potential here.
Yeah, he's pinning him down methodically,
Yeah.
knowing that for Goose the big thing is you should get 2 points out of this,
Oh yeah,
and
for
so
sure.
he's just making sure that Vlau can't pull anything to run his hand to zero.
Right. And I'm wondering, he is the princess master. I'm wondering if he's slowly trying to suss out the queen here with his princess play. Princess, of course, you can force someone to swap hands with you. Now, if he plays his king's hand now, this is literally either forcing Vlau to either flip, likely,
So
or the sentry,
just
and not use its ability.
pushing the sentry. It's either a king flip or a queen usage here for Vlau now.
I think he's probably going to opt to flip because you want to keep your queen as long as possible. But again, the princess is just so devastating in a hand like this.
So there we
All right,
go.
there's the flip.
Pulls in the assassin, which of course has very little utility at this point. But I think
Although the utility it does have is it gives him a card that he could use if he does force a princess swap. He'll be like, "Oh, you want to swap cards? Here's that useless assassin that you you right." So it's not terrible, but here's where the power of yeah, I think just having a soldier here will force the queen.
that's right. Yeah, there's no countermeasure for it. Doesn't even matter if he guesses right. He just has to be careful, right? He doesn't have card advantage in Bilal.
So he should know basically what's in his hand now. He just guesses a lot. So now he in his mind he's like, okay, if he succeeded the assassin, he didn't throw it away, then it would be assassin queen and then something. And it's not a zealot, so it must be an elder potentially. So here we go. It comes down to some final cards here. Goose has to opt not to swap.
That's right. That's the last trap, and he doesn't, of course. And now here comes the Elder. It'll be King's Hand for Goose, and Vlau is stuck with an unusable assassin.
Ah,
And King's Hand becomes king in this case. They reign over Nersetti.
yep. And it looks like the assassin was a little too late to get to the party there. So that's going to be 2 points for Goose here. Goose getting 2 points, one because Vlau had cards in his hand, but his king was not face up. So we'll go ahead and give Goose 2 points.
2 points for that. And the big thing. Any last words on that hand, Cena, before we head into our fourth hand of the match?
I think Goose played that well with the judge into Inquisitor. I mean, I don't like to toot my own strategy there, but I do really enjoy that play quite a lot. And I think it was just safe and conservative and a really good one when you have a lot of numbers in your hand.
Exactly.
So.
Goose knew he had the beef, and he used the beef the right way. He went conservative to neutralize the assassin, so remove the possibility of a loss there, and then
Right.
did exactly the right thing to turn it into a 2-point win, which puts him one good hand away from being league champion.
Right. All right. So he's now in striking range, as you mentioned, 5-3.
Here we go. All right, 5-3 Goose to Vlau. Vlau will have the true king. And we'll take a look at their hands. Now, all right. It is the Mystic that's the face up burn. It is the Sentry that's the face down burn.
Wow. Crazy.
So a lot of beef burned there in this hand, and a very interesting hand.
That was a very fast mulligan, actually, from Vlau. He just mulliganed, I believe.
Vlau mulligan. With that hand, I'm a little...
Maybe Goose did. Maybe.
Yeah, here, let's take a quick look at Goose's hand. Goose's hand... I don't see mulligans in either hand.
Okay,
Interesting.
So Vlau.
So Vlau mulliganed. I'm very surprised by that.
Yeah, let's go. I'm just going to tell the players to hold on for a sec as we go through these hands real fast. That's an interesting mulligan. So he sees the 7 face up. He does not see the 8 face up. He's got quite a lot of utility here. And he's got the 6-1. I think I disagree with that, but you also have to realize that the meta of the game is that he's 2 points away from losing. And so he wants to maximize his chances of winning the hand. And so potentially he's using that free mulligan in order to maybe roll the dice and see if he can get a better hand than this.
That's right. Yeah. Again, one bad hand will cook you, and this is not a hand you're likely to get a 1 point loss with. If you lose, it'll likely be 2, and it has potential. And again, you always think your hand is worse than it is when there's a powerful card that's face down.
Right.
But I'm just surprised. And now if I'm Goose, I think, okay, now Lady Luck might help me win this by depositing a bad hand in the Vlow's corner. So, all right.
Yeah. Let's go take a look at Goose's hand real fast here.
Okay, we're going over the
So
Goose.
Goose would have had a pretty powerful hand. You know what? I probably would have given Vlow especially since he's true king, he can decide to go first. He has inquisitors that he can just bang out. So if you inquisit out potentially an elder, maybe judge into the assassin, like he had a lot of options here, but again, it would have been a roll of the dice and a lot harder, especially since we don't have the perfect information that we do to play out the hand. But I don't know. If I was Vlow, I probably would have kept just because I'm now leaving it up to Lady Luck a bit here for the last hand or potential last hand.
Yeah, but there have been a lot of folks who have died in the desert with water in their canteen, and there have been players who have lost at Imposter Kings with a mulligan in their pocket, and that won't
I
be...
have basically a camelback when I die in the desert with a utility I could have used. So yeah, I shouldn't be the one who criticizes here, but that's a Vlow mulligan, and we will go straight into the next hand here.
All right, 5-3 Vlow having used his mulligan, and here we go. Now, let's take a look. The Fool will not be in play. The Fool is burned this time around, and it's the Inquisitor that's the face-down burn. Let's take a look at Vlow, who, again, it has the True King, or should have the True King, and we'll get it here in a moment. So what we have is both Royalty and both Elders, Sentry, Inquisitor, King's Hand, Oathbound. An interesting array. What do you make of that, Cena?
Yeah, I mean, he rolled the dice and he drank the water, and now he's still trekking through the desert, in my opinion. This is a pretty powerful hand. He's got both 8s. I like to see both 8s. Most people care about both 9s. I like both 8s. But he has both 9s, both 8s, Oathbound, and both Elders. So realistically speaking, if he decides to go first, I think now Goose has to use his mulligan up because there's no way to stop the onslaught of double 9.
That's right.
Even the double 8s, really. Like, he's got all the utility here. He's got almost the perfect hand.
That's right. Let's go over the Goose's hand. So if you're Goose in this case, you have to suspect that Vlow has both Royalty. You only have 2 countermeasures for 2 Royalty cards, your King Flip and your Oathbound.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's got
if he
Soldier,
can get his Mystic
Judge...
out, he can stop the 8s.
Sorry, just read the rest of his hand. Soldier, Judge, Assassin, Oathbound, Soldier, Mystic, Warlord, and Zealot. Sorry, go ahead, Cena.
Yeah, no, he's deciding whether he should mulligan. I think Goose absolutely, while being ahead, this is one that you would mulligan in my book. Like, you put the pressure back on. You don't want to give you have the momentum. You don't want to give anything back. So I think if I was Goose, I would mulligan this hand. If we go back to the general view and just look up the colors of these hands.
Yeah, I'll go first. Play it out.
Oh, Goose? Well...
You're going first? No,
we chucked it.
There we go.
Yeah, again, if Vlow chooses to go first, then he's going to Inquisit out your Oathbound, and you're done. You have the 2 9s ends the match. It's a 3-point loss. It's 6-5 now. You're behind. It's a good time to use the mulligan.
Yeah, and Vlow rightly makes himself go first, so that's good, and we can just go ahead and mulligan.
All right, we're gonna go ahead.
Well, we'll let them do this real fast. He's really enjoying the counterplay.
All right. While they're doing that, we'll go ahead and mark it as a Goose mulligan.
Yep.
And again, that means mulligans are no longer on the table now. A thing to remember about the mulligan rules, a mulligan, when you've already used one, costs you 2 points. So if Goose so decides, he could take a mulligan on a hand again. Vlow does not have that choice, so mulligan will end it.
Yep. All right, let's go into our potentially ultimate or penultimate hand here.
All right, here we go. So, out of the match, Elder face up, face down the Soldier. So a couple of complementary cards. Let's take a look. Vlow still should still have the True King. And interesting hand, Sentry, Judge, Inquisitor, Elder, Oathbound, Inquisitor, Queen, Oathbound.
Got both Oathbounds, got both Inquisitors, got a Judge, got some utility. I would play this, and I mean, I guess he has to play this. I would definitely go first, I think, here, and try to tease out some of the bigger level cards, or potentially sneak out that Assassin. Sniff out that Assassin, I mean.
Critically, there's only one Elder, and you have it, and you have both
Yeah.
Oathbound, so your Queen's got a lot of power here.
That's true. And I also really like the play of judging out a card and then queuing up the Inquisitor and then trying to get the Assassin and then swapping it with your Sentry. So using your Sentry's power to get the Assassin in your own hand if that's viable. However, on the other side, I bet you he has the King's Hand, as well as some other goodies. He's got his favorite card. He's got the King's Hand. He's got the Warlord. We're looking at Fool, Zealot, Assassin. Vlow's going first. Mystic.
Yeah, there's Vlow's going to go first. I can agree with that. This is going to be a very interesting hand. Having both the Fool and the Assassin, but no Oathbound, I wouldn't be surprised to see him burn it, but we'll see.
Which one do you think he's going to burn?
I think he's going to burn the Fool. I think Goose is going to chuck it.
That's the standard play. And well, not yet. The timer starts when both players.
It's fine.
Sorry. It's fine. Okay, so Vlow's tossing. What was that card?
Vlow tossed the other Elder.
His
No,
Elder,
not a
okay.
surprise there. And
So he's tossing the Assassin.
chuck the Assassin. Interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are sensitive to the Assassin, so now you can do that. Perfect. A lot of people are sensitive to the Assassin and trying to get it out, and there's an air of mystique, and Goose is not. He does this quite often, so maybe knowing that that's his favorite card, he put his princess into safety, tucks it away, because he knows he's gonna face an onslaught of Inquisitors and Judges.
So interesting. The successor for Goose is the princess, trying to protect it, knowing that that's very important given the outlay of this hand.
Yeah, and what's funny here is that like anyone who plays against Goose, you know he's gonna try to protect the high value card. Sometimes if you suspect that, you can actually Inquisit out his Zealot, especially if you have double Inquisitor. So you use your first one to get out the Zealot and the second one to do whatever you're going to normally do.
Okay, and
Now
it's
he's
the
ready to go.
Inquisitor that was successored for Vlow there. You know, again, keeping the Inquisitor hand. He's got two, and he's going to lead with the Judge.
All right. Guesses correctly, can put his Inquisitor into his antechamber, meaning that it will be played no matter what next turn. The counter to this is he's got a soldier. If he guesses correctly, he can disgrace a card in order to activate his Mystic's ability and get information. So he now knows he has a Sentry, disgraces almost immediately. That's a good counterplay. Now he has to play his Inquisitor.
All right, what would you Inquisit here, Cena?
This is tough. I mean, I probably would either choose to get rid of the King's Hand and pick it up myself using the Sentry. He decides to do it. Now he's debating whether he's going to...
King's Hand, the Inquisiting of the King's Hand?
Which is not a bad idea because it gets rid of the King's Hand and he has to play on a 7. Nope. He lets it go. I think he's okay with it because now if he plays the Sentry, he will open himself up to a full attack or whatever, Goose wants to do. Here he comes with the Sentry attack, I think. Here we go.
There's the Sentry. And he's going to trade the Oathbound for the King's Hand. There it is. Now, you've got to... Now, it's interesting. Goose has a Fool here. And has an option to play it, and he will.
I would absolutely take it. I think I might... It's debatable, but is it going to go take the soldier out of that? He was thinking about it. The Oathbound's really juicy, though. There we go.
Had to do it. Okay, so now you are... Vlow, you do not know that Goose has burned the Assassin. You've got to play with that in mind. You know at this point that you're... Well, actually, you don't know you're going to force a king flip with a queen play because he might have the princess in his hand.
Right.
He flips on the Fool. Fascinating.
Oh no.
I'm curious what the thinking was there.
I think he just wants to play it slow. He has the king's hand in order to stop an assassin potentially.
So
But we'll see. Just playing a casual oathbound. Both players are trying to just squeeze each other out, which is kind of an interesting.
yeah, that is so a really unexpected play. Um,
What would you have done? Oh,
try,
he's just playing the king's hand. I wonder, is he calling his bluff on the assassin
well,
here?
he already flipped. The assassin's out now,
Oh yeah,
so
I guess
nothing
so.
to
Yeah, I'm
save it
sorry.
for.
Yeah. Interesting. What is he doing here? He thinks he has the win here, I think, with the princess potentially. What is he
Yeah,
gonna
he's
do?
gonna pull the
And
princess
he gets
here,
the princess. He knows guaranteed it's there.
and the queen will do it. If he plays the queen, it's
Oh, he's gonna force a swap first,
and they'll
which he
just chuck.
has to.
Oh, but the Oathbound is not a
Yeah,
good card to throw here.
yeah. Unfortunately, he's gonna have to give the one card that's going to actually. He gives up. This is insane. So now he's using the Oathbound into his Zealot to make it a 1-point loss.
Wow,
Vlow, very smart play. Very smart thought there.
they got out ahead of me there. I thought Vlow was playing for the win. Do you think he was playing for the 1-point loss the whole time?
1 point though.
Yeah,
I wonder-
I screwed up. And I was like, oh, making this a 1-pointer.
Oh my gosh. So at one point when he thought he made a mistake, he was thinking, I got to make this 1-pointer. That is fantastic. I'm going to ask him actually. No, we can ask that in the post interview. I mean, it's fascinating to me. Like he just all of a sudden switched his mentality of, I need to make this 1-point hand, and most people there would never think to swap the queen. But he knew that if he lost his Oathbound, it was lights out, and so Vlow skimps out before getting cut there, and that was a well played hand there.
That was some really excellent Imposter Kings. Again, that creativity at the end to do something so unconventional to stay alive for another hand. That's really what makes the best players, is the willingness to entertain anything for what the situation requires.
Yep.
And
so now it's a 6-3. Vlow's really he's got his back against the wall here. But we've seen people come back and win.
that's right. Vlow has to win out now. There is no other way. He's got to win every hand to win this one, but it could only take 2. We'll see. So again, Goose with
1 point.
none of the
Nothing.
fixins will get 1 point for that. And it's 6-3 going into game
And the
number
princess
7.
again is up face up.
Princess wiped again, much to Goose's lament, and it's the king's hand.
Oh my gosh.
So
this
a
is
lot
gonna
of
be
meat down
brutal.
there. And Goose, one advantage is now he gets the true king. He gets to pick who goes first. We'll start with his hand. It's an okay hand. Inquisitor, Sentry, Soldier, Elder, Oathbound, Assassin, Queen, and Soldier.
Goose did win, so actually he doesn't get to go.
Oh, you're right. Goose won. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. So sorry. We'll go over the Vlow. Apologies for that. So Vlow will choose who goes first. Oathbound, Judge, Warlord, Mystic, Fool, Zealot, Inquisitor, Elder.
Both players are going to think that their hands are worse than they actually are, and I think if you're Vlow, your back is against the wall. You play pretending. This is true Akagi style right now. Like you basically are willing to put everything down. You got to go all in, and Goose did mention in the stream, did Platypus want to hate on the princess? Now talking about how frustrating it is that his favorite card keeps getting randomly selected. You know, it's kind of how I get randomly selected for TSA all the time.
That's right. So speaking of Akagi style, so Vlow threw away his Elder, figuring I'm gonna go all the way for this, and then successor to Zealot. Let's go over the Goose's hand. Goose still deciding. Yeah.
Oh, you want to set the timer for Goose then?
Okay, here we go. So interesting.
Other way, one more time.
Sorry,
my bad.
Yep, there we go.
All
So the intriguing thing here, what might be a pit for Vlow is when you don't have either 8 and you've got the Mystic, one of your thoughts is to go for the 8s, but that's not going to get him much this time around.
Yeah, I think he's got to just go for it. I mean, and Goose is doing the right thing by keeping the assassin in his hand, because the only issue is that he's got the Judge Inquisitor combo, which I think he's gonna suss out the Inquisitor, or sorry, the assassin. But my instinct, if I wasn't playing against Goose, is I would flip early, just hoping that he didn't have the assassin in his hand.
Yeah,
But I know
Goose
I know Goose would hold it. Oh, this is terrible.
So what
Oh
was the
no,
guess,
he
Cena?
guessed the king's hand. So
The-
now Goose realizes either he's bluffing for zero reason or he knows now that the face down card is the king's hand. This is
Oh,
very unfortunate for Vlow. This is one of the downsides of being the first to guess.
it's a tough break because King's Hand is usually a very safe bet unless it's the face down burn, which it was.
Yep.
But
Yep,
it does make sure Vlow knows that the King's Hand is not around.
It's true, but now it's really painful because now he's at a 7 right now. He's gonna have to throw away one of his 7s. He can't use the Mystic because there's no disgraced cards in the court. He is, oh, gosh, this is just tough.
Is he
So
going to
just pulls out-
Oathbound Fool to pick up the judge back?
I guess so.
Or he could pick up.
about it. No,
Oh,
goes straight
no.
to Inquisitor.
Assassin.
Okay.
Calls out the assassin.
Now, Velo's in a real bind because now he's super card disadvantaged. He's down both going first and using an Oathbound non-fool play.
So by guessing correctly now, he can actually play the Mystic if he wants. I'm not sure what he would use its power on. He's giving himself a little extra time there, as their back-to-back plays are quite quick. He can mitigate some of that damage that he just did to himself with the Fool, but he'll still have to outright win this game because even if it goes down to the wire, it's a 1 point to Goose and he still wins the game. So he's opting to just throw out a 7.
I
He
think
wants to get something big. He wants to fish for something big for his king flip here.
that's really what's left. He doesn't have any weapons. His successor card is a Zealot. So the
But-
one way he can win this hand is if he can fish out a big card with the Fool. That's it. That's what he
You know
has to do.
You know what Goose can do right now, right? He can if he wants to be cheeky, he can play his sentry here, swap a card with the old assassin, and then Vlow would have to burn his mystic. But instead, he decides to go for the squeeze. I think this is probably the smarter play.
So only Vilau's play is foreordained. He has to flip his king with what he has.
Correct. Yep. And this is not looking great.
It's definitely a tough
Unbeknownst
spot
to-
here.
Yeah, unbeknownst to to Goose, he could just play the queen right now.
An elder.
He's gonna check it right now.
Okay.
Realizes there's no elder. Now the next play, no matter what, he just plays that that queen, and he wins the game.
Yeah, it's looking very grim. Knowing that
Goose is- I was just gonna say Goose is one of those players who likes to tighten the vice, and it's just not a comfortable feeling right now for Vlow.
Yeah, I mean, Vilau's options, well, he doesn't have many. He's going to try, I imagine. He just 7'd it up. Here comes the queen, and I think this is going to be it. That's it.
G.
All right, we have ourselves champions. A champion. Well, we have champions, of course. They're both champions here of Imposter Kings, but Goose is the ultimate champion. He did it. He takes this final hand, a 3-point win. And we have a final score of the finals of the inaugural Imposter Kings League. It's going to be Vlow 3, Goose 9. There it is. Let's consecrate it. And we have ourselves a very, very worthy champion. Cena?
Yeah, I think Goose is a methodical player. I think he's a dangerous player. I think he's unconventional sometimes. He very well deserves it. And yeah, I mean, I think even in the tournament, he lost to some notable players, but he was able to make it to the finals, be able to just kind of go quickly through the ladder there. And then in the finals, he was able to kind of squeeze it out against Vlow. I really appreciated his assassin throwaways. I think that was kind of the key to victory there, was just making it really unpredictable to know whether you should inquisit it out early or not. And then in the final hand there, holding it into his hand just makes it really tense for the other player. So as I mentioned, super tight vice play from Goose. Vlow not stopping when that first hand, he took advantage of a really, really bad hand and a mistake that Goose made to punish him severely for a 3-point hand. I think, he was definitely holding his own, and on that turn 6 when he was very outgunned, he knew when to play correctly and to just lose 1 point But unfortunately, at the end here, Goose was able to best him, and congratulations to Goose. And Vlow is our runner-up, which means that he is wild card for the final tournament that we'll have at the end of the year, fighting against whoever gets second place in the next ladder we'll be running. So
That's right. Well, Cena, I've got to say, I mean, again, kudos to both of our players, and congratulations to Goose. You hit the nail on the head. I would characterize Goose's play as methodical and mistake-free. Just that tightening of that vice, and once it's on you, you just cannot get out. And especially, he took a big punch at that first. He got a pretty bad hand, 8 3-point loss, and that can rattle you when the stakes are high, like it is today. And he didn't get rattled. As a matter of fact, he pressed from that position and won every hand from that point out to take the championship. Well, did we want to try for a winner's interview before we wrapped up the stream this morning?
we're gonna start with Vlow. He's gonna come in and Ella, same old Zoom interview that we always do at the end of matches. So we'll be going with the runner-up first. So Vlow will be joining any second now. Just getting him on the phone now. But yeah, I think excuse me. I'm admitting him in. Joining. Hello.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly. How are you?
Doing good.
Wonderfully played and a really tough match. Some incredibly high-level play. Came up short today, but again, a real champion to make the finals here. What's your take after this last match?
Goose is a really strong player. That's yeah, I don't know. He doesn't let me take advantage of anything. So I found myself always playing behind the whole game, just trying to catch up and not make mistakes where he's just playing perfect and also taking advantage of my mistakes. So yeah, it was a tough one.
Yeah, he was relentless. Love the DreamHack shirt, by the way.
Oh, nice.
I was gonna say there was one point in that sixth hand where you realized you were going to lose, and then you swapped. They got to that princess swap, and you're like, I'm not giving up the oath now. It's like,
Well, you're right. I couldn't if I did that. It's a guaranteed loss. So at least try to do the final round. And then when I saw that hand, I was like, nope, this ain't gonna happen. It was too weak, and I was kind of talking to Goose. I had to get rid of the Elder. And that might have, I don't know if that was the right play, but I just felt it was too weak of a card to have in a weak hand already. And and I just didn't have an answer to a royalty. So
yeah. There was that hand that you mulliganed early on that we were debating in the commentary box. Obviously, we have an omniscience of knowing that they're only high cards that were being thrown away. What led you to your decision of doing that mulligan?
well, this is one of the greatest skills I have when I mulligan is that there's always another big card buried at the same time. So I thought he also had a sentry. And then just looking at my hand and being like, man, I don't know if I can deal with all those eights. And then I can't remember if I had a royalty and he might have had a royalty too. And so I was just like, no, he's just going to dominate me. And then obviously once we revealed the hands, I was like, nope, that would have been a good round.
I mean, that's really tough. I mean, did it factor into the fact that you were 2 points away from losing at that point when you?
And that's another thing, right? I couldn't gamble it, right? So looking at my hand, and if he did have the other sentry and something like a soldier or something was hidden, he would have just gone 2 points out of that. So I was just making sure I was betting on the next hand, and
yeah. And that last hand, unfortunately, starting off with the judge and hitting the king's hand. I mean, that is just one of the most unfortunate things. You give him information on accident. You don't get to play the way you want to.
Yeah, so already super behind. And I really needed that to work because my plan was judge to Inquisitor. And I knew he had to play a 5 or higher, which would have been nice. And then I was going to Inquisite the assassin. So everything would have worked out really nicely. And then I did actually, what did I throw as my success? Oh, no, that was Zealot. Never mind. That was a different round. That was fine.
Yeah, those are the worst when your whole thing is predicated on hitting the judge. You don't even need the information. So you pick a safety pick, which is almost always one of the 7s or 8s. Yes. And when you miss on one of those, it's just
well, he did. There was 2 soldiers out there that I didn't see. And I'm like, what's the odds of one soldier being disgraced and the other not disgraced but hidden, and then him throwing out the other soldier? And I'm like, oh man, but what if he does do that? I'm like, the king's hand is way better to call out right now, and yeah, didn't work out.
Well,
Yeah, well, you certainly fought your way all the way up to the finals of this ladder, and as a second place, you'll be wild card for whoever gets second place in the next split. So, all at a chance to be a part of a pretty big tournament at the end of the year here. So,
I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
yeah, really thankful for you to come out every week and play the game. I'm hoping you're enjoying it, and
Loving
we'll
it.
certainly have you for the next split. So we'll be excited to see how you do next time.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thanks, guys.
take care,
All right,
Vlow. Have a
thanks.
wonderful Saturday and a wonderful weekend. And
Yeah,
congrats
you guys
again.
as well.
Yep. All right, take care.
Take care.
All
All
right.
right, so we'll be getting this split's winner, Goose or Noah's. He's going to be joining us
And
as we speak.
there we go. All right, the conqueror of the Kingdom of Nursetti, the winner of the first split of the Imposter Kings League, Goose. It's a delight having you on. Congratulations again.
Thanks, Dan.
So again, really strong play. As we mentioned, the first hand, you got a bad hand, you lost, you took a 3-point loss and then won every hand from that point out. Take us through that. Were you rattled at all after that first hand? It certainly didn't seem so from the way things turned out.
I know after the first hand, because I actually feel like I threw it away. Going back, I remember at some point looking back and I was like, oh, that could have easily just been like a 2-point loss, or it could have even won, if I remember correctly. And it sucked, but I was like, you know what? Like just play it out and see what happens next. And then as soon as I got the 3-point hand the next round, I was like, all right, cool. It never happened, right? Now it's just first to 4. So, and I think it helped that as soon as I saw my second hand, I was like, oh, cool. Well, like I'll at least win. I don't know if this will be like a 3-point hand, but this is definitely a high enough card hand that I don't have to stress too much.
Right. I was thinking as you were like, I wish I could just dissect all these hands. Do you go back and look at hands that you were playing and analyze them, or are you going to look at this VOD? I'm going to say, is the future you're going to see this?
Yeah, I'll definitely go back and watch the VOD because I'm really curious to see what his hands look like. I like to see what my opponent's point of view was. Like, if I had their hand, what would have been my game plan? Because it could have just as easily been, I could have just as easily had that hand.
Right.
So going back and looking at it, kind of making a neural pathway for that one at some point.
Well,
Very good.
That's a great way of framing it because, right, in some ways it's almost muscle memory. You start to see certain patterns and certain reactions to that kind of take place as things dig on. And you could see actually some of the general and the what would you do lighting up as we went along. But again, very well played from each of those different areas on. Sorry, Steve, I interrupted you, so go ahead.
Oh no, I think the way we categorized your play was unpredictable and tightening the vice. You certainly squeezed him in that second hand. You squeezed him in the last couple hands for any amount of points that those hands were worth. I believe Vlow said that you don't make mistakes. So I have to ask: are you actually a computer? And no, I want to say. How do you evaluate hands? And you toss the assassin 1 or 2 times. How did you evaluate doing that, for example, versus keeping the assassin?
I'll typically look at my hand and see if it's like higher cards. So if I see like a lot of cooler colors, so like the blues and the greens, typically it's not. Typically, I'm not going to get them to flip on it. The only hand that I wasn't going to toss it on that that kind of breaks that rule is the one hand I mulliganed, because if I had gotten to go first, I kind of see the assassin as an answer to the king's hand sometimes. So like it's a 2 for an 8, and that's typically how I'll evaluate my hands. What are his high cards? What cards can I answer that with?
Right.
And that'll keep me from just getting blown out right away.
Well, and that's a wonderful way to look at it. You know, the color grading of the cards is very meaningful because it's quite literally there are hot hands and there are cool hands. And, you know, all the hot cards are the higher numbers, your sevens, eights, and nines. And so if you have a hot hand, like your second hand was one of the beefiest hands we've ever seen in terms of that heat, you know you can just bludgeon your opponent. You've got a lot of big weapons. But, you know, that creativity you've mentioned, the idea of the assassin being an antidote for a king's hand, it's that sort of lateral thinking about the way in which to actually win a hand that I think really typifies very high level play at this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, congratulations. You won the split. You're guaranteed in the top upper bracket of the tournament that we're going to be holding later this year. To get there, you had to beat your brother. You had to beat Vlow. Any words that you have for Vlow that you want to mention?
Vilaw's he's an incredible player. I think uh, he was definitely a little bit unlucky, like especially with his last hand, because there was not much he could do about it. I think he got a little bit unlucky with what the face downward cards were. Um, but it's certainly like it's not easy playing against him because sometimes he'll do things where I'm like, what? Why didn't I think of that? Why did I not like calculate that he was going to do this? This is obviously the right answer. He has a great standard play.
Mm-hmm. And a little bit unpredictable. I don't know, like doing lines that aren't normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, we noticed that too. And I was just gonna say, especially, what was really funny, I thought, and I'm sure you'll have a strongly worded letter to Platypus afterwards. But your favorite card was a face up 3 times this time. So
Oh my gosh.
bit of a luck swing both ways. I knew you were gonna mention it, but
One thing I wanted to ask, when you did the princess swap at the end of, I think it was the fifth or the sixth game, when you got a queen back, were you anticipating getting that back in the swap?
No. Because when I swapped, I was like, okay, he probably has queen and elder. So I'll probably just get an elder back, and then he'll have to play. I'm giving him a zealot, so he'll have to play.
it'd be a queen and then elder and then zealot.
And then whatever else I had.
Yeah, so it would have been a 1 point win for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he had to give you his queen because of the old oathbound trick there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Well, Goose, congratulations once again. It's been fun having you part of the community, and yeah, I think like except for a couple games, I think you've literally won every single game after our a quick tournament that we did at the beginning. I believe your brother actually drug you in to playing Imposter Kings because we needed a fill-in, and then
And then he beat me.
and then he beat you. But that was, if I'm correct, I know you guys play a lot of private games, but publicly, it seems that ever since then you've been able to beat him in a tournament setting. So
Yeah, because like I kind of do more meme stuff, right? And so because like when I'm playing with him just like casually, I don't care if I'm gonna lose, but if I can make him go, why? Why would you do this? Then I feel like I've won. And it turns out that some of those plays are actually really good.
so you just by trial and error, you're finding new lines that people haven't explored.
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's right. Troll your way to success at Imposter Kings.
that's we'll put that on the box for the next version of the game. From Goose. All right, Goose. Well, thank you so much for participating, and congratulations again for winning. You are Mr. True King for this split. So,
All right. Thank you so much.
Congratulations again, Goose. Have a wonderful weekend, and congrats on wearing the crown and having the scepter.
Oh, I gotta go change my icon. Okay. Thank you so much.
take care.
Bye, guys.
All right, Cena, it was a
There you have
wonderful, wonderful league, a wonderful split, a wonderful final tourney, worthy of 2 wonderful champions. Any final thoughts?
No, I mean, if you're watching this, hello. We have a wonderful Discord community, which is where we hold our tournament. We're going to be starting another split here in about a week. So if you're interested, you'll play with people your own level, so don't worry about that. But it'll be a chance for you to play the game on Tabletop Simulator and participate with other people in the community. So I highly recommend check the link below for the Discord link. Otherwise, thanks Dan for casting this with me. I'm low-key happy that you got kicked out of the tournament, so that way we could do this together. And appreciate your commentary. So
Cool. All right, likewise. Sorry, my wife hopped in and is like, I'm going to take a shower. Can you watch the man for 2 minutes? This is perfect timing.
Yeah.
It was my pleasure. I was low-key happy to get my butt royally whooped because that meant we had an opportunity to cast. This has been a delight for all of you out there. Thank you for joining in. Cena, thank you for making a wonderful game. I know I say this a lot, but this game is really excellent. And it's a surprisingly good spectator game.
Yeah.
Actually, because you get to play along. It has that intensity to it.
Oh yeah, and you get to yell at, you're just like, come on, dude. You know that the face down's probably going to be this, and it's like totally unconventional.
It's
Way different when you're in the driver's seat. Let me tell you.
It's true. And if you want to be in the driver's seat, again, theimposterkings.com. There's the link to the Discord. You can buy the game if you want to play at home, play on Tabletop Simulator. It is delightful. And I'm hoping that this great community that we've already built can grow, and will be many great tournaments like this in the future.
All right. Well, thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Thanks everyone who participated, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Adios all. Have a wonderful weekend.